My name is Chuck Starnes, and this is the Appreciation Dialogue. I'm going to share my screen with you, and what you're going to see on the screen is the Appreciation Dialogue. And this is what it looks like. And you should have two copies of this. If you don't have two copies, then go to chuckstarnes.com/toolbox, and it's the first tool on the list there. Click on Appreciation Dialogue and print out two copies. So why do we share appreciations? We share appreciations because our feelings always follow what we're focused on. Our energy follows what has our attention. And so when you focus on the good things about your partner, you see more good. Your energy follows that, and there's a positive energy. When you focus on when your partner shows up negatively, then that's all you see is the negative. And so the idea of sharing an appreciation is to learn to focus on the positive, and when you do that, your partner will always show up in a positive way. This principle alone will transform your relationship. The more you focus on the good, the more good there will be to focus on. There was an example of a wife who was sharing with her friend how negative her relationship had gotten with her husband. It was just so bad, and she was complaining and talking. And this friend shared with her this idea of appreciations and said, try it, see what happens. And the wife said, well, I can't think of anything I appreciate about him. Her friend encouraged her, well, think about it. Well, think of one thing. And she paused for a minute and she said, I can't think of anything. And her friend continued to say, to encourage her and say, there's got to be at least one positive thing you can think about your husband. Try again. And she continued to think. And she said, well, he is good looking, but I can't stand to look at him right now. And they had a laugh about that. But then her friend said, share that with him. So she did. She went and she shared that with him. And then as time went on, she then thinking about appreciation, she saw him with the children, and she said, one thing I appreciate about you is that when you're with our children, you're a great father, and I love what you bring to them, things that I can't, that I don't do as well as you do with them. You bring something to our parenting plan that I don't have, and I appreciate that. And so she continued, and when she went back to her friend, this is what she shared. It transformed her relationship. She said, the more that I shared that I appreciate, the more that I saw that I appreciated about him. And so it was a transformational experience for her. So sharing an appreciation is going to do two things for us when we do it. Number one, it's going to help us learn the mirroring skill. We're going to learn to listen, not just to 30%, which is the average. When you and your partner are talking, when partners generally are talking together, they hear on average 30% of what the other person is saying. And the reason for that is because as soon as your partner starts talking, there may be a trigger in your mind to think, well, no, that's not exactly right. Or you'll want to rush to a solution to try to fix what's being said, or you're just reloading. And as a result, 70% of what your partner is saying is distorted. And so by learning to mirror, you're going to just not hear the noise. You're going to listen and to listen and hear 100%. And that really, the appreciation dialogue really helps you learn that skill. And then secondly, you're going to be sharing appreciations both ways. Both of you will be sharing one, and you'll be filling the space between you with positive energy. As the one who's sharing, you're going to learn to see the positive, like we saw in our example. And you're going to actually be able to get in touch with new thoughts and feelings that you may not have known that you had. I appreciate something you did for me. And then as you make it safe for me to talk about it, and you help me in the dialogue process, I can get in touch with where that appreciation comes from, new thoughts and new feelings. So therefore, you get to know me as your partner in a deeper way. I get to know myself in a deeper way, and then understanding any connection that I have, my feelings may have with the past, particularly my childhood. And as the one who's listening, you're learning to listen well. And then as receiving that affirmation, that appreciation, you're going to receive some real affirmation of your value, because that's an appreciation that's genuinely shared with you by the most important person in your life. So it's really powerful. So let's get started. You'll see in just a moment, you'll see on the sheet that you ask for an appointment. That's the first step. A good dialogue always begins with the appointment. And we ask, and a good way to ask for that is say, is now a good time to share an appreciation with you? Why do you want to ask for an appointment? Because it respects the basic boundary that your partner has around their time, around their thoughts. If you just intrude and you rush in and you say, "Hey, start talking," then they're forced to stop what they're thinking and what they're doing and listen to you. And it may not be a good time for them, and you won't know unless you ask. So if you ask, "Is now a good time?" Your partner could say, "It's not really a good time now, but the rule is they tell you when is a good time, and at that time, appointed time, they come and look for you, and you have your conversation. And it's a lot better chance that your partner will be in a good place to listen when you give them that option." And the second thing, make eye contact. Uh, Connection happens when we make eye contact, and then that really facilitates connection. And then take 3 deep breaths together, so that you're regulating any reactional response, and you can be present for your partner. So there you see it on the top of your sheet. Ask for the appointment, make eye contact, take the deep breaths together, and then it says you're going to share an appreciation. I put this up here because some people say, "Well, give me some help. What can I appreciate?" Well, it could be 3 things: something you did. One thing I appreciate is that you made me coffee this morning, or how you look. I appreciate the way you're wearing your hair today, or some trait that you have. I appreciate the way you're patient when things get frustrating. And so those are examples of 3 areas that you can look for appreciations. And so once you've taken the deep breaths and you're looking at each other, you're sitting face to face, eyeball to eyeball, knee to knee. That's another thing. Sit facing each other. When you're ready, say, "One thing I appreciate about you is that you made me coffee this morning," something like that. And then when your partner says that, you're going to listen, and then you're going to say, after each bullet point, you're going to say, "Let me see if I got you." Now, it's important to do it just as it's written, because when you say, "Let me see if I got you," it causes your brain to move into being present and listening. And then you said you appreciate it when I made you coffee this morning. Okay. And then you say, "Did I get it?" And when your partner says yes, you say, "Is there more about that?" Okay. So saying, "Did I get it?" is making sure you're 100%. If your partner says, "Yes, I said this, and I also said this," then you can say, "Well, you also said," and you can mirror that part too. And that way you're hearing 100%. Did I get it? Checking for accuracy. And then the third bullet point there is a question that turns on your curiosity. When you say, "Is there more about that?" you're inviting your partner to get in touch with some things they may have not ever thought about regarding that appreciation. So when you say, "Is there more about that?" then as the person who's sharing, you go to the second bullet point. What that makes me feel, or better yet, instead of making me feel, when I experienced you making me coffee, I felt warm and accepted, and I felt loved. I felt like that I'm genuinely cared for, something like that. So let me see if I got you. You said that when I made you a cup of coffee, you in this morning you felt loved and cared about, and you felt warm and like you were being taken care of. Did I get it? Yes. Is there more about that? And then, as you're sharing, go to the third level. What that reminds me of when I was little is I lived with my grandmother when I was growing up, and she always made us breakfast. And I always felt it always felt so loved. I felt so loved because of that. And you're making me coffee reminds me of those warm feelings I had as a child. Or it could be something, let's say you're a different person and you didn't grow up like that, and you say, it makes me feel loved and cared about. And what that reminds me of when I was little is when everybody got up and went to work and went and was off to school, and I never had anybody to do that for me. And so I just really didn't feel that in my home. And now you're giving me that. And so let me see if I got you. You said that when you were growing up, you didn't get that kind of attention at home. And did I get it? Yes. Is there more about that? And that, no, that's fine. So then you shared the three levels, and now you go to the next level where you summarize. A summary is not a memory contest to see if you remembered everything. It's just saying, well, let me see if I got all that. In summary, what you're saying is that you appreciated that I made you coffee this morning, and when I did that, you felt warm and loved and cared for, and it reminded you of when you were growing up, and there was no one there to do that kind of thing for you, and you just went without. But now I'm giving that to you, and that really is bringing something to you that you didn't get before. Did I get it? Did I get all of it? Is that a good summary, right? Okay, so check in and make sure, yes, you got it. And then you can just simply say, thanks for sharing that. Well, thank you for listening. And then in with appropriate physical contact. And for couples, that's a 1 minute full body hug. So stand up, do the 1 minute full body hug, and then reverse it. And the person who was talking will now be the person mirroring. And the person who mirrored before will now be the one who's sharing the appreciation. So practice it. Go for it. Appreciations are open the door to wonder and connection. So now it's your turn. Decide who will go first and follow the sentence stems exactly as they're written in the exercise. It's going to feel awkward at first, but the structure really does create safety. And so take your time, maybe 10 minutes each way, and then switch roles. And if you get off track, you're supposed to be able to raise your hand. We are not in a live session, but you can email me. You've got my website there. So if you need help, let me know.